Alright, so I'm gonna commentate this match between Aztecas and Wicked Tree. It's on a map that I'm working on. It's still in progress. Um, yeah, it's a pretty exciting game. A lot of cool stuff happens. It's about 20 minutes long, so buckle in. I I might do like highlights or something. We'll see. Um, yeah, so let's just go. Um, so player one, blue, is Tree. And I'll refer to them as and Tree. Um, and as is green. So as is playing as Pyro, and Tree is Stratos. Um, so Stratos is gonna want to kind of rush down Pyro and keep Pyro from getting souls. Because if Pyro is able to get a large army and build a lot of Pyromaniacs, then they'll be pretty unstoppable. On this map, however, there's like a lot of hills, so you can like avoid Pyromaniacs decently. So like there's a fair amount of counterplay that can happen within this map. Um, Nelly, stop it! Chunk Chunk, come here! You stop it. Go to bed. Alright, so Az is just building a Storm Giant here, and a couple of Frosties. Or I mean, sorry, Tree is building a Storm Giant and a couple of Frosties, and he's just rushing this middle lith. And Az decided to not build his second home lith. He only built the first one, because he wanted to take middle. And middle is really strong on this map because the mana is fairly spread out. So you kind of have to work a lot harder to win if you don't have middle. And he's guarded one mid, so we'll see how Tree decides to respond to that. It looks like he's raiding that back Manolith, so Az will probably have to respond to that. Yeah, so I think Tree is just going to try to keep him here, but he dies, and then that gives Az an opening to go back to his Manolith. So yeah, that Frostwolf is down. They're about even right now. Tree doesn't have great mana income. Az has a lot better mana income. And yeah, it looks like Tree left Brainiac back there just like help guard from a raid. But Az isn't really trying to raid yet. It looks like he's just trying to get mid control. And probably get those converts mid. And Tree is trying to raid this backlith here, but Az teleports back to defend it. It might still go down though. We'll see. Az kind of has his Pyromaniacs positioned on the opposite side from the Frostwolves, but he's still able to take them down with his Fire Shield. And actually, he also gets the kill on Tree and kills all of his mana horrors. So that's going to set Tree back pretty far. He has a lot of souls just sitting there. And Az is probably going to get this mana lith up here as well. So he's kind of... Az is kind of in a pretty good safe position right here. We'll see how Tree responds though. So he respawns at this other like secondary homelith. He's kind of just building mana horse to get his mana back. And Az is moving his Pyromaniacs up the hill to try to take Tree out. Tree's casting Chain Lightning. And if he does that in Soul Wind, I think it kills the Pyromaniacs. But he's not able to get it off. He actually dies. Az is able to deal a lot of damage with all those Pyromaniacs and the Pyro spells with so much mana there. This Pyro really benefits from having a lot of mana. Tree is able to kind of go around and get his souls again, though, while Az is distracted converting those villagers. But I mean, he is getting those villagers, and souls are really important for Pyro. Yeah, and Az is just keeping the pressure on Tree, just like rocketing him as much as he can with the Pyromaniacs, using Explode on him where he can. Yeah, and there he goes again. He gets a kill on him. And Tree still has pretty bad mana right now. Because his 2 manaliths are all the way across the map. So he's gonna try to respawn here at this mana fountain. Yeah, he's kind of just using lightning on this troll and running away. And Az is like slowly coming up the hill after him. Az is playing fairly defensively and just like slowly working his way across the map, which is what he should be doing as Pyro, I think. Because you want to get like a large army as Pyro and just like become unstoppable, basically. And then finish off your opponent once you are doing like ridiculous damage with all the Pyromaniacs. So Az is harassing a little bit with that cog on the back there. And he is starting to engage with his Pyromaniacs. And Tree is actually building quite a variety of ranged units. So I think his goal is to keep all of his souls close together and keep them together so that he doesn't have to worry about taking large tactical risks. So he can always use Soul Wind very safely and choose when to aggress with it, I think. And we'll see him do that a little bit here. As he kind of like moves around the other side from the firewall. He uses Soul Wind twice aggressively and does a lot of damage to those Pyromaniacs and takes a couple out there. And he continues to take out more of them with all of his Vortex there shooting at them. It's interesting that he actually used a Squall in his composition for this fight. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have chosen to do use a Squall. I'm not sure what the damage values are, but it seems like a rather large target for the Pyromaniacs to hit. But yeah, it worked out well for him. And he misses the lightning there, shooting it into the side of the hill. And Az is trying to split Tree's army in half right here with the firewall. And he did an alright job with it. But Tree is, he's got his ranged units back there. So they're pretty safe and not taking damage from it. And he's up front with his Storm Giant, kind of dealing what damage he can with spells. Yeah, Az is doing a pretty good job defending here. He's just healing up the Fire Fist, and he's working on building Bombards. Yeah, we'll see how the Bombard works out. It looks like it's doing a pretty good job at taking out Mana Whores and doing a lot of damage to the Wizard. It's not doing a whole lot about the Vortex in the back though, so we'll see how Az responds to that. Or if he's able to just defend despite them. Yeah, and tree's just going full into ranged units. And trying to stay away from as for the most part. But he does send in one Frostwolf to attack the mana fountain or manalith. And he's just trying to do as much damage as he can to that Fire Fist and um, the structure. Yeah. Um, so Az and Tree are at somewhat of a stalemate here. Um, but I think Tree is doing enough damage and stuff that Az is actually forced to guard a second Fire Fist. And that's kind of the slow downfall for Az, because even though the mid is very strong, if you guard it too much, then your opponent can kind of work around the outside and get mana for taking you out that way. So I think we're going to see Tree do that here. He teleports back. He has basically all of his souls, I think, or I think he has all of his souls. And he comes up to the Sidelith. He's probably going to take it down pretty quickly. You can see Az is trying to raid in the back there. He's trying to aggress as quickly as possible to keep Tree from going after his base. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Tree teleports back to defend this Manalith. And he takes out the Pterodactyl very quickly. But Az is able to take down the other Manalith. So Tree right now is down to just one Manalith. So he has very low mana because he didn't have time to build that side Manalith that he was attacking, even though he was able to destroy it, I believe. Yeah, so we'll see how this fight goes. Az has a lot more mana, but he doesn't have a huge army. I think he needs to convert a bit in order to finish this game off. Because Stratos can do a lot with very few souls. And right now, Az is in kind of a tough situation because he has a lot of souls sitting by Tree's Manalith that he has to collect. So he's going to try to do that, but he has to avoid getting hit by this Vortex. He might get juggled and lose a lot of time. And in a lot of ways, Sacrifice is like a race for time. It's kind of like a speed run to each objective, and like, yeah. So if you lose time, then you can end up very far behind. So he's fully aggressing on this back Manalith, and this is still Tree's only Manalith, so we'll see how it goes for him. He's using Soul Wind quite a bit here to try to take down these Fire Fists. He successfully kills all of them. And yeah, Az is kind of left here with most of his army dead by Tree's Manalith. Or, oh, sorry, Tree has two Manaliths. I was being stupid. Yeah, so we'll see what Az does here. He's able to get all of his souls back, but he's having a lot of trouble breaking the defense of Tree here. So Tree is just kind of chasing him down, pressuring him, and he's also getting these conversions on the village here. He gets a Chain Lightning off through the hill, which slows Az down a little bit because it takes out the Mana Whore. But he teleports out back to mid. We'll see where he goes from here. I think he might try to get some conversions and build up his army. That'll probably be the smartest choice, to try to get some a large army of Pyromaniacs probably, and just overpower Tree. Yeah, so Tree is working up the side. But he's working up his own side this time. So we'll see how that goes. I think I just wanted to show off desecrating right there a little bit. Yeah, so he's just fighting this troll, takes it out very easily with his vortex and the squall. So Az is kind of just bombarding this manolith from far away. Oh, and I think as kind of just says that he doesn't have a whole lot of time to play, and this game doesn't actually come to a complete end. It gets pretty close though, but I think Az was kind of pressured for time, and if he had more time, he could have converted and had a much better chance. If he had more time to convert, I think. Yeah, but yeah, so he's running out of time. So we'll see how this game goes. So now Tree is working back up to Az's side lith. And he starts building it. Az is getting these conversions out of mid though. It looks like he's going to convert a couple more villagers. But Tree might get back to his altar in time to disrupt those conversions. And that might give him enough of a position just like that, and mana in his base might be enough for him to beat Aztecas. And you can see some really great micro from Tree here on the left side with the vortex. You can just barely see it, but he actually just like moves them like an inch to like make it so the explosion doesn't send them flying. But Az is still able to get the kill on them because he still got the damage from the explosion, and all that he needed was a fireball. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this fight. Tree spawns a fence that kills the bombard back there. Az is a pretty high level at this point, and I think they're both about the same level, but Az is able to make a warmonger, so he's got a lot of damage coming out right here. We'll see how long he's able to keep it up though. It looks like it already goes down. Tree's able to juggle it a little bit with the vortex. Tree gets a Yeti out. That's another really powerful creature. We'll see how long it's able to survive. Oh, it's already dead. Yeah, this fight is really chaotic. If either one of them is able to get a large enough army up, they'll probably be the end of the fight. And if Az loses his army, that'll probably be good enough for Tree to win as well, because Stratos doesn't need a whole lot of army. Yeah, and I think Az is basically out of time at this point, but he's kind of just playing anyways. Yeah, so Tree has kind of just won this fight. And then he's now aggressing on Aztecas' base. Or his two starting lifts. And if he's able to get one of these down, that'll be really good for him. Because Pyro needs a lot of mana to do well. So we'll see how this goes. It's gonna depend a lot on Az keeping this manolith up, and Tree is just gonna try to pressure it down as well as he can, and take down that Fire Fist that's guarded on it. Yeah, that Fire Fist goes down, so the manolith will probably go down in a second here. Az isn't able to build any creatures to guard it to keep it up. And then Tree is kind of just using Soul Wind a lot, dealing tons of damage. and Az unfortunately has to go. Um, it's a very close game. I think Az Az still has a chance here. He still has 2 manaliths. Um, and he still has like all of his souls basically. It's like, yeah, I think they're gonna rematch this game. Um, yeah, fun game. I would still say it's a good game, even though it didn't come to a full conclusion. Yeah, good game.